Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, a show in which we react to the latest Arsenal news, transfers, speculation, matches, all of that stuff. And there's quite a lot to break down today. First things first, I know for a lot of our Western viewers, this is going to be a very early morning show for you guys, whether you tuned in live or not. Thank you if you did. Of course, if you didn't and you're watching on playback, thank you all so much for catching up. Reason for is that this is my other half's birthday today, so I've had to squeeze this one in the morning in the UK so we can carry on with the rest of the day and enjoy all the festivities, if you will, for that. But thank you ever so much for tuning in, everyone. We've got plenty of you jumping in already. RY, we got King of Anglia, Carl, Rodney, Omar, Colorado, plenty of you guys tuning in to watch today's show already. Thank you ever so much. And there's quite a bit of news to talk through, which I'm going to try and squeeze into a little bite-sized chunk. The first of which is the most breaking news that I want to cover, which isn't it currently in the title of the video, but it will be after I post it. And that is Zach Medley, of course, the young centre-back at Arsenal, supposedly has agreed to join Gillingham, which is my local club around where I live, on loan. So that could be quite interesting for me, especially because I'll be able to go down when I can't obviously hit up the Emirates every single week because of, you know, the amount of money it costs to go there. But when I can get to the Gills and watch a couple of games, I might be able to do some scouting records on Zach Medley to send back to you guys, get some videos going. So that might be quite interesting. Really looking forward to seeing that if that turns out well. A good friend of mine is a Gills fan too. So finding out that Zach Medley's leaving, and he was asking me whether he's highly rated or not and what we think of it. And effectively, last season, a lot of people wanted Zach to be in the first team squad and looking to get some opportunities in the cup games and stuff like that. So really interesting to see the amount of games he'll obviously play for Gillingham if he does manage to get that loan move. They are desperate for players right now. About a week ago, they only had 6 to 8 players in the first team squad. They had so many players on loan last season, and because of obviously the COVID situation, losing a lot of players to the final years of their contract, wanted to move elsewhere. They've just lost Max Aimer, who is a German citizen, but very, very acts very, very English, and he's gone off the Bristol Rovers. So Zach is coming in to replace him, I imagine, for the season, and it's probably a decent one there. Let's move then on to the next main bit of news, which is a confirmed bit of news, and that is Willian confirmed that he is leaving Chelsea. He put out a big statement on his Instagram and all of his social medias, thanking the 7 years that he's had there. He talked about criticism in it, which is a bit strange to talk about criticism in a leaving message, but he did. And maybe that comes into the reason as to why he might be moving on to Chelsea and deciding not to stay there as well, that there might be a bit of bad blood. I don't know, but it's weird that he mentioned criticism in his sort of leaving message. But that obviously means that he's out of there. Most likely, we'll see an announcement next week that the Brazilian will be joining Arsenal. We won't go into too much about, because of course we have talked about him in what feels like non-stop. And if you want to get our thoughts on Willian, you can of course go back and watch loads of our videos that we've done on Willian, which is weird because I actually haven't done a tactical breakdown on him, weirdly. I might have to get around to doing one of them and look into him analytically and more statistically. Of course, we did a tactical breakdown podcast with Drew talking about him and continue. Of course, there won't be a tactical breakdown podcast on the usual day, which would be today, because, as I said, it's the other half's birthday, so I'm around today in terms of what's going on. But on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we'll be recording one with Drew live. 8:30 will be the Writers Podcast, fingers crossed as well, to talk about even more of the latest news like we did last week. And last week's show hit over 10K, which is amazing. So thank you ever so much. And of course, we hit 18K subs as well. Thank you ever so much for that as well, everyone, too. Let's have a look at some of your comments in regards to some of the stuff we've already talked about. Of course, there's a lot of people talking about Ozil. When will Willian be announced? Says Diva. Next week is probably the most likely scenario there. Rodney says, I like that we're actually seeing these kids going on loan and building up their value. 100%. Arsenal, who says, good to see you doing well, mate. Top job. Thanks ever so much for tuning in, mate. Much appreciate it. Beast Titan says, Arsenal to pay off Ozil. Okay, let's talk about the Ozil news. The Ozil news most recently coming out, as if you saw from the thumbnail, he has been spotted. I mean, it's not like he's hiding, particularly. The Istanbul Başakşehir, which I know I've pronounced wrong, team manager has been spotted in just hanging around with Ozil and his representatives. I don't know if they're the ones that are there, but there was other people there as well. Whether that's down to just a friendly visit or talks about a possible move, but it does come in conjunction with some news dropping today that Arsenal are reportedly open to paying off Ozil's £18 million contract this season. I don't know whether that would mean that Istanbul would pay off part of that, a sort of a goodwill gesture, I suppose, to get Ozil out of the club. I don't know what the intricacies of the deal are, but that's the latest information, is that Arsenal are very open to cancelling Ozil's contract this season, of course, on £350,000 per week anyway, that we can get him off the books, so that would save us some amount of money this season. Would be really key to just move on from Ozil. You can talk about his quality, you can talk about how you think of the guy, whether it's good or whether it's bad. I just think that it's one of those really quite sour situations that we just need to move on from. Very, very, very clearly, just need to move on from. Aizen says Ozil should sign Ludogorets as a possible destination. Rodney says the Ozil situation really needs to be resolved because this is exhausting. Yes, 100%. Diva says your channel is so underrated. Keep up the good work. Any news on Coutinho? There's nothing that I've heard in terms of Coutinho stuff. Nothing that I've seen in reports wise. Nothing what the little whispers are talking about. Nothing has come up since the reported visit to London Colney the other day. So that is the latest information on that one. There's been nothing that's come out since then. I doubt it's going to happen. I genuinely can't see it. If we're going for Willian, it doesn't make too much sense, but you never know. It could happen. John says Ozil won't go. He is getting paid to do nothing and loves living in London. A very strong point and a very good argument to say why would he leave? Well, if he can get paid a similar amount and get his contract paid off, which would mean he would get a fair chunk of that as well, then there you go. There's your reason why he would leave. Morning, Russ. Nice to have you, mate. Femi says, any update on Gabriel? Again, there's been nothing in terms of the movement on Gabriel as of yet. We could expect to see some news dropping in the next couple of days regarding the Gabriel move, but as of right now, the latest information was that he was at the training ground, that there were discussions, but the club have not yet agreed anything with Lille. The latest news regarding Lille, though, is that they have supposedly found his replacement, who was a Brazilian playing in Brazil, I believe that, for around €7.5 million. I believe it's Fuchs. I don't know how you pronounce his surname. It's spelt the same as the Austrian left-back at Leicester. That centre-back in Brazil supposedly is their replacement for Gabriel. So if that is sort of moving, we kind of know that Gabriel is leaving. It's always been the biggest question about his destination. And the biggest news regarding that was, of course, that he'd chosen Arsenal, according to some very, very reliable Lille sources. The other bit of news, as Lawrence says there, is would love to see Zaha at Arsenal. Now, that is a really weird story that came out last night, or the night before last, was that Zaha was spotted out on his holidays. Of course, end of the season, players are off. I saw Rob Holding out with Callum Chambers, but I didn't personally see them out with those two. I've just seen him away. That would be very strange. But Zaha's been spotted, of course, around on his holidays, and there were some cheeky ongoings where some people have put up a message of Zaha to Arsenal, and a lot of sort of posts were put up with Zaha saying Arsenal need to go and get this guy. Zaha responded to that one by putting up his own post saying that he's enjoying himself and he can't control everything that goes on around him, and some people want to play jokes effectively. I wouldn't put too much stock in seeing Wilfried Zaha at Arsenal next season. It would cost a lot of money to get him out, unless there was some sort of loan or staggered payments, or that Crystal Palace were just fed up with his antics. I'm not particularly keen on it personally. I don't think Zaha's had a great season. I don't think Zaha offers enough creatively to become the left winger to push Aubameyang in the centre of sort of the front three. To move Aubameyang from the left wing to the central area, you need to add both creativity centrally and add a lot of goals as well to the left wing, and someone that can create a lot as well to just sort of garner the reason of moving him into a central area. If you don't sign someone that's not creative and not sort of threatening up in a goal scoring sense, there's no point moving Aubameyang into a central area, playing a role which Arteta clearly wants someone to be able to hold the ball, link up the play, and Aubameyang's doing really well on that left wing. So for me, Zaha it doesn't make too much sense for me whatsoever. Carl says Zaha and Palace can both do one. Manu says Arsenal does not want Zaha. It's not happening. And I don't want him either. Aizen says to play Aubameyang in the middle, you'll need elite wingers. Yep, just completely agreed with the point that I made there. Spot on, mate. Rodney says, Omar, I'm a big fan of Wilf since he's from my area. Always love seeing people do well, but I agree that ship has sailed. We need midfielders more than we need a left wing. Iron Cub says Depay is a cheaper and better option than Zaha, but I can't see us getting another wing. And Depay has played a lot centrally for Lyon, obviously. He has played on the wing when Dembele's been playing there, but he's mostly, I believe, been played in more of a central area. He could be brought in as possibly a Lacazette replacement, but I wouldn't see him being brought in to play at left wing. Lucas agreed to that. Would you rather play Depay over Zaha? He definitely would. Vesley says, what about Laka? No more information about Laka, to be honest. There was rumours around Atletico Madrid putting a £30 million bid in. I don't think there's too much credence with that at this stage. We might see Atletico come in a little bit later on, but at this current time, I can't see that move in. There was rumours about a move to Juventus. That's gone very quiet as well. So it's very strange with the Lacazette situation. I'll give it a 50-50 whether I think he'll be in here next season. But the latest information regarding Lacazette is that there's nothing going on right now. There could be talks, but there's nothing concrete that's been posted by any really reliable source regarding Lacazette at the moment. I think the club are open to selling him if the right offer comes in, but at the moment, I just can't see him moving on to any of these clubs with the information that is out there at the moment. Joseph says Cam over defender or CDM. Well, I'm not sure about that, mate. I definitely would be prioritising bringing in a centre-back and a defensive midfielder over a Cam right now. I think we've got a really exciting young Cam in Emile Smith-Rowe coming through. I think we need to prioritise getting Ceballos as well and getting that tied down, because I think if you bring in, say, Ceballos and you add some defensive midfield to that area, I think you're giving yourself a really good platform to enable Ceballos to be a fantastic creative player further up the pitch. Blizzard B says, what's your dream transfer window? I mean, speaking realistically to players that we've, of course, been linked to, I think Thomas Partey is up there as sort of number one. Ceballos comes in after that as well. Willian, I'm happy with. I don't know if you would call him the dream scenario, but in terms of realism, Willian, I'm okay with. I don't think that has too much of a detriment on players like Saka and Martinelli and Nelson and stopping their sort of development. I think it adds much needed depth. And a centre-back like Gabriel, I think, is a really good option as well. So say we were to bring in Partey, Ceballos, Gabriel, and Willian, I would be really happy with that window, to be honest, personally. If we brought in anyone else, it would be a bonus. Of course, dream, you're looking at someone like Joboslai, of course, coming as well. But there. Joseph Maseko says, Conrad Lima, you've got good taste, mate. Lima's a fantastic player. Ceballos and Partey, please. Fantastic stuff there. Owen Young, Ozil out, Willian in, Zaha, no, back to writing. Yeah, you keep writing, Owen. You get on with your next biographical piece. If you haven't checked out Owen's most recent piece on David Luiz, make sure you click the link in the description to the website and give that piece a read. It's fantastic. Blizzard says, I believe we should sell Xhaka. I don't. Freddie McNay says, Tom, does a Xhaka, Ceballos, Partey 3 have enough creativity? A big problem for this team this season, and I don't think Partey improves that. What Partey obviously gives you, he gives you the ability to beat the press. He takes the ball from a deeper position on the pitch, he drives it forward, lays it off, takes players on, breaks up players really, really well from a deep position, and a number sort of 6-8 role as well. Ceballos, what he did at Real Betis before he moved on to Real Madrid was as a creative, forward-thinking player, and what has basically happened to him at Arsenal, he's been brought further and further back into the midfield because we've had to cover our sort of frailties in the defence, and by moving Ceballos into a more advanced, creative position, I think what it gives you is a player that's got a lot of talent there. I'm excited to see what Smith-Rowe could do as well in a creative role, in a number 8, number 10 role. Emile Smith-Rowe, I think, is really good in that area also. And I just think that if you add Xhaka, Partey in behind Ceballos, it would give the Spaniard a lot of freedom to do what he does best. So there you go. Lamine Fouad says, will Ceballos be an Arsenal player this season? Fingers crossed. I think it's quite likely. I think Arteta wants him. I think the club want to get it done. Whether or not it's a permanent deal is yet to be seen, but a loan with an option to buy could still happen. T. Irving says, Tom, out of the rumoured leavers, Who do you think we should be trying to keep hold of? Ainsley Maitland-Niles, 100%. Mainsley, all day long. Get that man in. Get that man a new contract. Keep him at the club. Gunnar, let's talk. Fantastic name. Says, we 10,000% need creative player in the middle of the pitch. Willian is a winger and nothing like Coutinho. He isn't, you're right. But I just think that for the money that you'll be looking to bring in for just a year, it doesn't make financial sense when you've got creative players coming through in the younger areas. That's going to wrap off today's show. I said it was going to be a short one. I'm going to go celebrate the other half's birthday for the rest of the day. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you guys soon tomorrow for the Amy Lawrence interview around her 89 release of the paperback edition of her book. Make sure you go check that out. Make sure you tune in 11 a.m., same as today, effectively, UK time. I'll see you then. I'll see you very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.